All right, guys, good evening. It is 7:30 on a Monday, which means foundation for our future. Tonight, fellas, we have a special guest, and we're going to do more and more of this as the year goes on because it's so important for us here at the Futures Association to share our network with you. Right? One of the blessings of playing baseball for a long time is the amount of guys that you come across and play with or against over the years. So it would be a disservice to you if I just kept those beautiful souls to myself because they have so much value. And one of those guys that I have grown to love and admire. We played high school ball together. We played, ironically, at the same junior college, just 1 year apart. And then we played at kind of competing NAIA schools. And then he went on, of course, to get drafted by the Washington Nationals in 2015, made his major league debut in 2019, I believe. And just more importantly than that, he's a man of God. He comes into the Futures Association and trains just like you guys do. He is one of the hardest working guys, most faithful, loving, giving guy that I've ever been around. And I'm so excited to introduce you to him. His name is Taylor Hearn, and he should be there somewhere on your screen. But Taylor, what a blessing it is to have you tonight. I'm so thankful for you that you're taking time out of your day to do this. And we're going to make it super short and sweet. I mean, we're just going to give Taylor the floor and let him pour out his heart, similar to how I do, but better stated coming from him. So Taylor Hearn, welcome, man. Thank you for being here tonight. Can everybody see? I want you to turn your camera on if you can. If you're available, turn your camera on. And we're going to give you some time to interact and ask questions. But first and foremost, man, Taylor, you spent the last 2 years in Japan. Last year in Japan. You're going for your second year in Japan. And you've transitioned out of Major League Baseball with the desire to go back to Major League Baseball, but God has opened the door for you to go to another continent, play the game we all love. Before you dive off too deep into what you want to share with us, how's that experience playing in Japan versus playing here in the States?
Oh man, it's definitely different. It's different. I'd probably say for a guy like me, um, just knowing how I approach life and how I just approach everything. Like you got to be open minded when you're playing in these different type of countries because they don't play by the same rules as we do. They don't operate the same way as we do in America as well. So that's probably the biggest thing. But I think it's just living proof that there's so many avenues to keep playing baseball for guys that don't make it in the major leagues. Like case in point for you, I mean, going to play indie ball and playing in Mexico and DR, like that's something special. And they usually compare Japan to Major League Baseball over here. So to be able to do that has been fun, and it's definitely some talented guys over there. I know the biggest name is the pitcher Sasaki right now, but next year, like they said, the goal is for me to come back over here. And there's going to be a lot of guys over there that are coming over here with me. And, there's some really good hitters that can play in the major league. So I can say one thing. I just always wanted people to be able to look at me and my story and being able to see that, just because when God takes you in different places, like like it's the craziest thing, but it's the hardest thing ever as well to have faith and knowing um, when He's in control and learning how to not have control over it. So that was probably the toughest thing for me. But man, just playing over here has been fun. I leave next Saturday actually, so I got like a week and a half, 2 weeks basically to get ready for it.
You know, Japan has been put on a pedestal, of course, with the World Baseball Classic. Guys like Shohei Ohtani. We were growing up as Ichiro, right? Dudes like that. But how God has opened doors in your life to do things that you wouldn't have imagined. Same thing for me. I would have never thought I'd be living and playing baseball in Mexico because we get it wrapped up in our minds. I know growing up playing together and going to the same junior college and just being in the same environments, it's like big leagues or bust, right? Major League Baseball or bust. And that's the goal. That's the dream. That's what we strive for. And we don't realize how many other amazing opportunities are out there to put us in a position to glorify God and love the people around us and inundate ourselves in a new culture. And And so to have those experiences, I know we've discussed this privately, that they're life changing experiences, and they just lead to building that foundation that is going to set us up. I mean, well beyond any amount of money or any other bit of fame or whatever else you think comes along with Major League Baseball. So to keep that open mind is such a blessing, and I know it's impacted your life significantly. Um, the great thing about Taylor, guys, one of the great things about Taylor in terms of where we're located in Rockwall, Texas, is Mr. Taylor Hearn was in your shoes 12, 13 years ago. Um, he's from Royce City. He's from Royce City, Texas. I got a guy in here right now that's in our live audience that lives in, and goes to Royce City High School. Um, just a local guy who grew up the son of uh, or the grandson of a rodeo guy. Correct? Your grandfather was a rodeo Hall of Famer, but just grew up just simple, easy. You know, didn't come from a lot, but through his discipline, his persistence, and dedication to his craft, God has blessed him immensely. And so, if you just speak to that, Taylor, of how coming from Royce City, Texas, which it looked different 10, 12, 15 years ago than it does now, to being on the mound in Arlington, you know, just 15 short years later, how has that experience impacted the way you see life coming from a small town?
Man, that's crazy. You think about it. Like you say, it's 15 years ago, man. That feels so long ago. Um, Man, definitely humble beginnings. I'd say probably the biggest thing. I think I've always been somebody that's never been a big spender. Like even all the money I've made now, like I'm still frugal about it. Like it it still breaks my heart nowadays, even when I go in the mall to spend $200 on something like that. Like just anything, dude. Like I'm serious. Like, you know what I mean? But I've always wanted to um be able to be on this pedestal, but not even just a pedestal, but just enough to be able to let other kids from our city to see that it's possible to make it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the kids I grew up with, everybody was like trying to make it to the big leagues. Everybody was talking about it, but nobody really doing anything about it. You know what I mean? And so that was how I was. Like my dad to this day, you know, he never bragged on me. You know, never did. My dad's biggest thing was every time anybody came up to him and said, you know, how good was your son? He would always tell me, he's like, you have to come watch him for yourself. He would never ever do that. You know what I mean? And that's what he would tell people because he always told me growing up, he said, you should never have to speak on how good you are. He's like, if you're good enough, he goes, they'll find you. And he said, everybody will see that. He's like, you should never have to brag on yourself. And so that's just how I was, you know, whether that was me rodeoing as well. I was never a big talker as well. Even in baseball, like I'm not a big talker. So I think just the way God has done in my life and, you know, all he's still gonna do and continue doing, you know, stuff I pray about every day, just constantly telling them like, you know, I want to the platform that you put me on, I'm gonna continue to glorify you, but then just my goal is to always just let people reach back out and just let people know like I'm human just like you know what I mean? I came from a small town, I went to the same high school as you, played on the same field, so it's like, you know, you can reach out and touch me and talk to me just like anybody else, you know, and I always try to make myself like that because I don't want people to think, oh, just because you made it and you know you play for the Rangers, like you're this big head guy. Like no, like I'm the same dude on and off the field.
Farthest
So
thing from that, man. Farthest thing from that. And just getting to know you and having you come in here and train and do what you do. Um, there's something that you said. A lot of people talk about it, but you were actually doing it, right? And something every young man on this podcast tonight is doing is they're doing it. They're here. They're prioritizing this time. And guys, that's so real. That's so real because it doesn't stop. We can all talk. We can talk like we want to be a part of something different. We can talk like we want to go places and do amazing things. But if you're not doing it, you're not putting in the work, you're not disciplining yourself, even in environments like this, these things stack up and start to compound. You also mentioned your faith, Taylor, and you said that one of your favorite Bible verses is Ephesians 6:11.
right.
It says, put on the full armor of God so you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. So if you don't mind, can you elaborate on like the armor of God and the belt of truth, breastplate of righteousness, shoes of peace, shield of faith, helmet of salvation, and sword of the spirit? Why is that a favorite verse of yours? And how have you utilized that in your journey? Because fellas, the big leagues is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's the hotels are nicer, the planes are cooler, like everything's happening, but that comes with its own set of challenges, and it's not easy in its own right. So, how have you utilized Ephesians 6:11, Taylor, to help you stay the course when you have so many distractions?
Man, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You know, I remember when man, how long ago was that? That was five, no, that was 6 years ago when I ran across that verse. I was doing a daily devotional. I usually do it every day before I go to or when I get to the field, and it was Ephesians 6:11. And man, I just started diving deep into that verse and just realizing like how good that verse is for being a baseball player. You know what I mean? Like you're going to battle, like I'm going to battle as a pitcher, you know, to try to realistically try to take food off of somebody else's plate. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you, everybody talks about how they're superstitious about this and that. I'm not a superstitious person. But the only thing I am superstitious about is whenever I'm playing baseball, if I don't read a verse before every game, I feel naked out there. Like I don't feel covered. Like I'm telling you, like I can still play, but I don't feel good. So that's just always something that's been ingrained in me. But just like, it's just that verse just was so perfect. I remember I ran across that verse when I was in AA, and it just stuck with me. You know what I mean? Putting on the full armor of God and going to battle, because realistically, you're going to battle out there playing, whether you're a hitter or a pitcher. You know what I mean? And then another thing I got is on all my gloves. Let me see if I can flip it. I have this. It says fear, F.E.A.R. And that says face everything and rise. So that's what I have on all my gloves.
Can you say that one more time? Faith,
Face, like face
face,
everything and rise.
face everything, and rise.
So
Okay.
that was something that came along. That was about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was just part of it. So anytime I'm out there on the mound, and I always look at it before I get on the mound, but that's just something to always remind me to always take a stand against the devil's schemes, whether if it's in baseball or outside of life as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Outside of life, like facing legends in the game. Who's the greatest legend you ever faced in the game?
Oh man, probably Albert Pujols.
You got Pujols. Yeah.
Yep. He
So
he I got him out, but he oh man, it was a 2-1 count. We were in LA and I fell behind. And this was I think it was like 2021. And he clipped me and he hit a ball probably like 420, 430 dead center.
uh,
And the exit velo was like 115. It got out in a hurry, dude.
so you got him once, he got you once, huh?
Yeah.
So the reason I bring that up is one because it's cool, right? It's just cool, man. It's amazing. But these biblical principles, and the reason it's so meaningful for us to share these with you guys is they're applicable in all things. Face everything and rise. Obviously, he gave you the armor of God and utilizing face everything and rise from a spiritual perspective.
Hey,
But he
do you
also
have that
said like
bulletin board with
just in
all
a
the
physical
letters I got from
sense,
those teams?
man, some of you guys are nervous as heck to get up there and face a junior in high school because you're still a freshman.
Keep them in a box.
But when you have these principles that Taylor's talking about in your heart, you can step up against guys like Albert Pujols. You can face everything and rise to the occasion and go out and do the job that you've been called to do. Because if you weren't prepared for it, and write this down, guys, write this down. If you weren't capable and prepared, you wouldn't be standing in that spot. Taylor was standing on that mound 60 foot 6 inches away from Albert Pujols because he earned the opportunity to be there and he was capable of performing at that same level. And so that stuff matters. So when you find yourself in a position where you're standing in the batter's box and the game's on the line and you got to go up and you got to find a way to get on base or find a way to drive that guy in to help your team win, you are capable. And if you weren't, you wouldn't be there. So fear, face everything and rise. I've never heard that. I love that. I love that. Taylor, we got just a few minutes. We're a little over time, but I want to kind of open it up to you, man, and just share something that's on your heart, something that you like to share with these guys, something, a little nugget that they can write down and take with them. And then we're gonna do a quick Q&A, where we just have 2 or 3 quick questions from you guys, and go at it that way. Matter of fact, guys, put a question in the chat. There's a chat on Zoom. If you got a question for Taylor, go ahead and put it in the chat, and then I'll pick a few of them out, and we'll let Taylor respond to them. But in the meantime, T, can you
You ain't
give us
gotta you ain't gotta pick a few of them out. Just go through them all.
You got time?
Yeah,
You
yeah, I
okay
got
on
time.
time?
You showing those?
Yeah, so.
Oh, you showing those?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
All
got
right,
time.
you're
Go
the
ahead,
man.
go through all of them.
Then don't put them in the chat, fellas. We'll give each of you an opportunity to ask
All
a
right, that's
question in person. You can actually speak and open up that way. That's cool. But go ahead, Taylor. Whatever you got for us, man, just let it ride.
fine. So I got a picture of I got a picture. I have to send it to you, Jay Bird. Um, you talk about one of the things you talked about was being from a small town and always having motivation and everything. So what I did was I kept a letter from every major league team and every college. I got a letter from. I kept the bulletin board, and it was up here in my old room. And so that was something that I always looked at every morning. You know what I mean? That was that little piece. Like people always talk about what drives you, like why do you play the game? And dude, I saw that every day from because I started getting letters my junior year. So it was junior, senior year. I looked at that thing every day. You know what I mean? And it's just crazy about it because like it happens so fast. You know, like we like all of you guys are in high school and everybody's like talking about trying to go Division 1. I'm gonna be honest with you, and Jay Burke can attest to this. You don't have to go play Division 1 baseball to make it to the major leagues. One of the best hitters in the big leagues came straight out of JUCO, and everybody know who he was. It was Bryce Harper. This dude was all over Sports Illustrated, everything. I went to NAIA school and went in the 5th round. I was the first NAIA player taken that year. Like I hate when people say, "Oh, well, you got to go D1 to get drafted." No, scouts will find you anywhere. I play at JUCO at the JUCO that we went to. They're notorious for getting guys drafted. Jay Bird played with a bunch of draft guys. I had my freshman year, we had 4 guys get drafted. My sophomore year, we had like 7, and we he compared our numbers to other Big 12 and SEC schools. We were like in the top 10, and we were JUCO. You know what I mean? So I think Jay Bird can attest to that. Like scouts will find you anywhere as long as you're putting in that work. But like, don't I just hate that how everybody has this narrative that like you got to go D1 to guarantee you get drafted. Like if you look at the numbers, like there's a good amount of guys in the big leagues right now that are JUCO products, NAIA, Division 2. Like, I mean, they're all over the place.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's 100% real, because guys mature differently, right? Guys, there's guys that come in here, man, that they're not making the junior varsity team here at Heath, but yet they're so much more capable. They just haven't physically developed yet.
Right.
And there's dude, I didn't become the best player I could physically become until I was almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
And I
I
still felt
didn't,
like I
dude.
had a
I
lot to
didn't.
take. But
Dude, every parent always asks me like, how hard were you throwing at 14 and 15? Dude, I hit 91 when I was a senior in high school. I didn't hit 95 till I was a sophomore in college. Junior year, I hit 99. Like it's just, I tell people I was a late bloomer. I wasn't one of them guys out of high school that was throwing 95, 96. Like if it happened, then that would have been cool. But I was still putting in work, trying to do it. My body was still developing. I feel like, and Jay Bird, I think you can attest this as well. Like guys wanted to throw hard and hit bombs, but they don't realize like you're still 17, 18. Like your body's not even matured yet. You know what I mean?
yeah, oh, that's the truth. And we fall into that trap because we look around at what everybody else is doing
Right.
instead of having a plan for ourselves. And that's why this is so powerful, and the Futures Association and what we're building is so powerful, because there's accountability here of guys that were not creme de la creme, so to speak, the top tier big name dudes because a lot of us physically developed late, but yet we went on to have greater careers than most of those guys, with the exception of the Bryce Harpers of the world, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the reality is, like you're saying, the most big leaguers were very average early, and they just stayed the course, stayed disciplined, implemented these principles that we discuss on a daily basis here, and persevered to the point where opportunities opened up for them, and they had built a foundation on rock instead of one on sand. And
Yeah, I think as well the biggest example I got. Um, I know everybody here is a Ranger fan, and I'm really close with him. Is Marcus Simeon? Marcus is the first guy to tell you he sucked at fielding. He's the very first guy to tell you, because Marcus came up with the White Sox and he was not good at fielding. Marcus will tell you, he said, I didn't get good at fielding till I met Ron Washington when I got traded to Oakland. And when he did that, he's like, that's when he figured out later on in his career, that's when he figured out how to field ground balls, because he'll admit it every day. He'll be like, dude, I sucked. I sucked early on. I wasn't good. And now look at him. He's a he's a Gold Glove second baseman. I mean, he's a finalist almost every year for second base. You know what I mean?
and what it took to get there is a trade to Oakland,
Yeah, yeah,
where he was probably kind of frustrated at one point, right? We're
yeah,
like, them getting traded to Oakland, really? And then that small step, so to speak, back propelled him significant amounts of steps forward. So that's sweet, man. I didn't know that about Marcus.
yeah, yeah.
We just see him for what he is now, right? And that's what you
Hey, if you go back, if you go to Baseball Reference and you look at his numbers, and you look at everything, you will see like you're like, wow, this dude just started getting good like the last like 4 or 5 years.
that's insane. Now he's a superstar.
Yeah.
Let's open the floor for some questions. I'm gonna go just top to bottom on my screen. I understand we're running a little long, guys, but I hope you're getting some value out of this. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're gonna be here as long as Taylor wants to be here. And you guys, if you need to go, take off. But Jack, Jack, go ahead and take yourself off mute. And if you ask a question, guys, and you're capable, put your camera on. Put your camera on so we can see your face. And you guys are all nice looking guys anyway. So we got Jack Guevara. Jack Guevara, what you got, young man?
I was gonna ask what your work ethic is like and what you did on a day-to-day basis.
As of right now, or
Yeah.
so as of right now, I'm working out Monday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I throw basically every day. I take Wednesday off. I long toss right now at the facility I'm at that I work out at, not at Byrd spot, but another spot. They're up to about 130, 140 feet. So I'm long tossing in there at least 3 to 4 times a week. That's one thing I probably recommend to everybody, because everybody asks what's the secret to throwing hard, and I'm like, you got a long toss. So that as well. Now that I'm getting off the mound, I do dry work. I'm a big fan of that. Like even as a hitter, doing dry swings as well, doing like those little mental reps. I do those at least twice a week as well. Um, and I'm doing bullpens. I'll do bullpens twice a week, and then once the season starts, I'll get off the mound maybe once a week every series. So that's one thing you guys can do as well as pitchers. Like, the day before a game, go ahead and get off the mound, do some dry work just to get your mental reps as well. Not throwing a ball, just doing that. Probably one of the biggest guys that does this is Clayton Kershaw. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it was years ago, probably like 4 or 5 years ago. Clayton Kershaw, they were in the playoffs and they had video on an off day of him doing mental reps in the Boston Red Sox bullpen. So if he's doing it as well, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are doing it. So yeah, that's pretty much my routine.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
iPhone 257. You got a question for Taylor? You have to take yourself off mute if you do. If not, I'm going to pass by you in 3, 2. Your mouse moving, but you're on mute. And I know you're driving. I'll give you just a second longer. All right, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you if you got a question. Kyle Byrd, Aiden Byrd.
Okay, Mom. Here are the rules.
All right, I don't even see them in the camera. Trent, I see you, Trent. What you got, young man?
Uh, is it as hard to play in college as most people make it seem?
No, it's all a confidence thing. I think I think I think some of the best players I played against or played with were some of the smallest guys, but had some of the greatest confidence. I'm not talking about being cocky either. Like, I never played with Jay Byrd, but there was a leadoff hitter that I played with in JUCO or in NAIA. He was the most fearless hitter I've ever played with in my life. Like he was stealing bags, he was 110% every time. I think it's just a confidence thing. I think if you put in the work, but then if you know you're like, hey, I belong here, like that's all you need. Because especially like college is okay, but when you get to like pro ball and you play in the major leagues and you're and you're on the mound and you're facing Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, you can kind of get starstruck. You know what I mean? So I think college was where I learned that was just like mentally, I don't care who's in the box. I'm trying to just get you out. Don't care. I don't care what your accolades are and everything. You know what I mean? So I'd say the biggest my advice would say just announce and make them feel your presence.
Good. Gavin Lambert.
All right, sorry. Hey, Gavin's nervous. He didn't want to talk, but
Come on, G. Come on, G. You got it, baby.
we over here representing
You're a
Roy City.
chatterbox up in here. Come on.
Love it, love it.
Hey, what did you do, or what was the turning point for you with discipline? I know everybody's talented and athletic, but what did it take for you to really become disciplined?
Man, shoot, there's a lot of stuff over time I got discipline about. Um, so I fractured my foot. What year was that? 2016. Covering first base, first game of the year. And I think that was this another message I got. I felt like God was showing me as well was just learn how to be patient because I was somebody that was really big on trying to get stuff done quick and trying to get as quick as I can. Like I was like, oh, I want to try to get to the big leagues as fast as I can, you know what I mean, and try to just make all this money and all that type of stuff. And I think that was the first time I really had to check myself and kind of sit back and was like, all right, instead of me trying to get to the big leagues as fast as I can, let me try to learn something every level I went to. So I had a notepad. I don't know where it is, but I took notes every year. And I'll have to think about them, but I could have told you every year what I learned in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, every year. And I think that's just probably the biggest thing I try to tell a lot of young kids coming up in high school and college. Like everybody wants to get to the big leagues, everyone wants to get bigger and faster and stronger. And I'm like, just take your time with it. You know, like I feel like because I once I figured that out, I was like, okay, instead of me thinking I'm trying to get to the big leagues as fast as I can, I was like, okay, how can I get to the big leagues and feel ready and stay ready and realize I don't have to go back down? Because most guys get to the big leagues, you see they rush them to the big leagues and then they send them back down to AAA because they weren't ready, you know. And so I think that was probably the biggest thing for me in 2016 when I fractured my foot. I really let off the gas and was like, okay, let's go cruise control and let's just relax and let's try to not go in the gym and try to kill myself every day. Like let's not try to overthrow throwing wise, like learn how to maintain stuff, learning how to do an actual program.
All right, thanks.
Aaron Artson.
I was gonna ask similar question. What's like the hardest thing you've had to overcome with things like that?
2019, when I had my major league debut, I didn't only recorded one out. I had a strained UCL, and I was rehabbing in Arizona for the rest of the year, and had to sit there and watch all my buddies playing in the big leagues while I was rehabbing. And then I got close to being back, and then ended up having a stress fracture in my elbow. My season was done. So I stayed in hot Arizona for so many months, but dude, I learned so much. Like I said, probably the biggest thing I learned again was just learning how to be patient. But like every time I've gotten hurt, and I take it into the off season as well, and it's something I try to tell everybody as well, is whenever you get hurt, that's the perfect time to try to evaluate yourself. Like that's the perfect time to try to diagnose your swing, try to compare your swing to other guys and figure out what they're doing, talking to other guys, because um I don't know why it was, but I was always a big person that made adjustments. So like my first half and second half numbers are way different. Like in the second half, they're way better than they are in the first half because I make adjustments. You know what I mean? So I'd probably say that was probably the biggest thing in 2019 when I got hurt, um, and only recorded one out in my major league debut, and that was a dream day. You know what I mean? So
Tough, man. You
Thank
work
you.
so hard. You work so hard. You get there, and then you have a tough outing, and you got to figure out how to pick yourself back up. That's
yeah,
I
no,
remember watching
it
that.
was
I
tough. It
remember
was tough.
watching that. I mean, like,
Yeah, it was tough, man. But hey, it's funny because I never thought I'd ever close out a big league game, and I had a 3 inning save, and got this hanging up now. So
check it out. So to segue into Johnny, if you're still there and listening, take yourself off mute and turn your camera on if you can. But you did put a question in the chat, so I'll ask Johnny Bieber's question for him unless he pops up. Oh, there you go, Johnny. Take yourself off mute and ask your question because that's a perfect segue into it.
Yes, sir. What was it like being on the mound with like thousands, like millions of people watching you?
um, I'd say it was great. It was a great experience, but I was always told never look around. Your first time out there, never look around. Don't view the stadium unless you're in the dugout. But when you're up there hitting, when you're up there on the mound, don't look around because you'll get so caught up and you're like, man, like I finally made it and stuff like that. Because they say you don't have time to try to soak it all in. Like you're up there, try to do a job, soak it in when you're in the dugout. Um, Man, it's been awesome. Probably, and it's funny, probably the loudest crowd I've ever played in front of was Chicago Cubs and the Boston Red Sox. Those were the loudest and the most fun I've ever had playing baseball.
That's so cool. It's a great segue because Taylor made his major league debut with the Texas Rangers, and being a hometown kid, you want to talk about being magnified, just the spotlight, eyes on him. Not only is it thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, but it's people he knows and cares about, and everybody's got an opinion. So to be able to overcome what he overcame in this community is so special. I'm gonna go back to iPhone 257. I know it looked like you were trying to take yourself off mute earlier. Do you have a question? You can say yes or no, but if you do, try to take yourself off mute. Are we gonna go down to Isaac Bagley? Bags, you got a question for us?
Um, yeah. How'd you deal with pressure in high school?
Mm, man. Uh, I mean, there was first off, there was so much, but I think I think for me, what it was my dad reminded me my sophomore and junior year and senior year, but mainly my sophomore year, because I didn't play varsity baseball till I was a junior. I could have my sophomore year, but there was other stuff that had happened. But um, I think like I said, I think what it was, my dad was just telling me, he's like, my dad used to always tell me, he still tells me to this day, he goes, you don't ever have to prove yourself. He's like, you never have to prove yourself. He's like, if you go out there and trust your ability, he's like, it'll take care of itself. And I think as I got older, I started realizing that when you try to prove yourself to people, it's just so much wasted energy. Like I'm like, why am I wasting so much energy to prove to you that I belong or I'm good. You know what I mean? So I think for me it was in high school when I finally realized I was like, all right, I don't need to prove myself. I just need to go out and just play ball and just let my talent speak for itself. So that was probably my thing.
Thank you.
we seek validation from everybody around us, right? It's human nature. It's human nature,
Seek
but
validation from the wrong people, if you ask
from
me.
the wrong people every day, from the wrong people. But something about this community, Taylor, is, and you see this, we got guys from Heath High School, Rockwall High School, who want so much to live up to the standard that's been set in this baseball culture that they live in,
Yeah.
that they feel like if they're not to somebody else's standard, that they're falling behind. And that just couldn't be further from the truth, is what you're saying. And you have to find a way from within to know that you're putting in the work, controlling the things you can control, and letting other people's opinions of you be other people's opinions of you. And from that, it's like you start finding purpose that way, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's good. iPhone 257 came through, said unmute's not working, but he's a father of a son, Sawyer. And he said, thanks, Taylor. Great words tonight. I see your name every day at the YMCA where you're a sponsor. And so I'm going to take that and ask you a question. You have been diligent about this community and doing things for this community. You did something for my little brother without even knowing it. And we reconnected a few years ago. And why is that so special to you to be a part of this community and giving back to places like the YMCA and the local schools?
Man, it really, I think just growing up, I could never reach out and touch like athletes and get a chance to like get to know them or like get close and personal with them, you know what I mean? And I remember I always told myself, and just I think just reading my Bible and getting to know God and getting closer, I realized like as easy as God can give it to us, He can take it away. And I never want to take it for granted. And I think I truly, and this is like people talk about biggest fear. This is my biggest fear. My biggest fear is to stand before God on Judgment Day and Him to look at me and say, I put you on a platform and you didn't reach out and touch my people. And so that's something that always sticks in my mind. And so I always pray and tell God, like, the more you bless me money wise, the more I'm gonna give back. So the more you keep giving me, the more I'm gonna continue giving back. And so I'm just a very selfless person, and I know what it's like to struggle, you know. And I want my goal and job is to try to help all these kids from Rockwall Heath, and Roar City to know that a guy like me made it, and still gonna come back over here and still finish what I started. But just like it's there for you, but like don't forget who got you there. You know, like everybody always talks about, yeah, there are coaches that helped me out to get to this spot and all that type of stuff. But I'm like, bro, I was like, they had no control over this. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest thing. And like I totally forgot. I always donate at the YMCA, but I really want kids to be able to see that. Be like, oh man, a Major League Baseball player is donating. Like, I want to be able to do that. And I want to be able to minister them like I have been doing, just telling them like, don't forget who gave you this talent, because as quickly he can put you on a pedestal, you can be a first round pick out of high school and all that type of stuff. And like you won't make it if you feel like like I don't need him. Like I can do it all myself. Like, yeah, right. So
Leading.
that's probably my biggest thing, man. Is like I don't want to stand before God and feel like I failed him because I glorify his name and try to reach back out, and I don't want him to sit there and say, I did all this for you and you never helped spread the gospel.
I love you, man. I love you, brother. You just, it's what a blessing. You give me chills over here, man, because it's so special, so special. Guys, we are so far over time. Taylor's been so gracious. I want to give our little three guys in here a chance to come in on this camera if y'all want to, and put your arms around me. And we're gonna ask Taylor one more question. I'll let it come from one of you three guys, and then we're gonna get out of here. So we try to have a little live audience, and any of you guys that are members of the Futures Association, you're always welcome in the studio. We're upstairs at the Futures Association right now. You're always welcome to come here and tap in on this in person. But one of you three guys got a question? No? You're a left-handed pitcher, Kingston Hewlett. What's the question you got?
What was the recruiting process like coming from a small town like Roy City?
Um, I was gonna be scared to say this, but I don't care. Your high school coaches ain't gonna do it for you. Do it yourself.
Ooh, ooh.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I love them, respect them all, but I went out and did it myself. Went to Jupiter, went to the tournaments, went to the college camps, Texas, all those camps. That's how a lot of the guys I played with got noticed. So if you're sitting back hoping that the high school coach is gonna do it for you, ain't gonna happen.
Hashtag facts.
Hashtag.
Yep.
And all the pitchers as well. Another advice, whether you're a pitcher, don't be afraid to throw inside. I've been seeing a lot of guys that are afraid to throw inside because they feel like they're gonna hit people. Like, no, like throw inside. Don't be scared.
Yeah, love that. Don't miss though. Don't miss us hitters. We gonna tag you.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
Gonna
If
tag
you if you if you clip it, that's cool with me. I'm still gonna come back in and know. If I hit you, you gonna feel it. You gonna be like,
Come
oh
on,
man, that 98
come
hurts.
on,
Like yeah, get off the plate now.
come on, baby. We did get a question from Zoom user, and so I want to be respectful of your time, of course. But I'd like to
Yeah.
ask you one final one. Do you have any advice for someone going into high school baseball? Make a choice.
Enjoy every moment of it because it goes by fast. I think Jay Burke can attest to this. Enjoy every moment of it, and don't be so caught up in the all district and stuff like that. Because I'm glad I got it here. Um, so Jay Bird, you know how everybody has like the Letterman and all that type of stuff, and the little patches, right? I'm pretty sure you did. You were
I
like
had
all
one of his.
districts and
He
stuff
said
like
that
that.
was his goal was to wear a Heath High School baseball Letterman jacket.
You want to see my only patch on my Roy City one?
That's the thing. That's it, huh?
That's the only patch. No all districts, no nothing.
Made the varsity team. Congrats, baby.
Literally, that's all I got.
Hey, hey,
So
it's a
so
blessing you didn't peak in high school, right?
huh?
I said it's a blessing you didn't peak in high school.
No. God was just getting started.
Just
Oh,
getting
one more thing on the recruiting process. I know we got some parents on here. Um, me and Jay Bird's old assistant coach was a clown. And so I'm not going to say who it was, but one of my old teammates sent him a highlight video of him. And he was like, he called me in the office. He's like, hey, you know this kid? And I was like, yeah, I played high school ball. He was like 2 years or a year behind me. He watched a minute of it and turned off. He said, I'm good. And I was like, why? He said, because the first 5 minutes, first 30 seconds or whatever of the video, it talked about him being all district, all this and all that. He's like, I don't care about all that stuff. He's like, I want to know if you can play ball. So I just want to let all you parents and kids up there, don't if you're gonna talk to the coaches, don't tell them you're all district, all of this stuff, because I guarantee you they don't care about that.
It goes back to what you said earlier. Everybody wants to talk about it, but very few actually do it, right?
Nope.
And doing it,
That's all they want to do.
doing it speaks volume, speaks louder than you can ever speak.
Yes.
Taylor, God bless you, bro. Thank you so much. You're leaving for Japan later this week, and it's a long journey. You got a young child at home, got a lot going on in your life, but you have been called to another continent. Lord willing, you'll be back in the big leagues here within the next 12 to 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be watching you here in a major league uniform again. But guys, something that I was taught that has brought me tremendous value in my life and in my baseball career was be kind and take care of the people who take care of you. And Taylor just gifted us 45 minutes of his precious time with his family tonight to love on you guys and to provide you with some answers to your questions. And so something that I want to encourage you to do is to write Taylor a note. Everybody else would ask for an autograph, but my heart is that you write Taylor a thank you note and bring it up here to me next time you're here. You can leave it on the table or on the desk. I'll pick it up and make sure Taylor gets those. And then maybe next off season, we can set it up where he's in person and live and you can get an autograph at that point. But I want us all to show Taylor that we appreciate him. And if it's on your heart, give him a little thank you note and a wish of encouragement as he goes to Japan for this next baseball season. So, Taylor, we love you, bro. Thank you so much. Guys, I love you. The Futures Association loves you. We want to exhaust our network and provide you with everything that your heart desires in terms of your development, not only on the baseball field, but as a human being also. So Taylor, appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all, man. I'll be seeing you.
All right, guys.